Well, you're
The Grinch! So I was just sitting by the fire the other day, enjoying a nice sherry and wondering which game should I play for my Christmas video? The Nightmare Before Christmas? Yeah, I already did Medieval for Halloween. That's kind of similar. The Die Hard games? Maybe. Shut up, it counts. Look, it's set at Christmas, it's a Christmas film. End of. But then it suddenly hit me like a ton of bricks. Which festive character perfectly encapsulates not only my views on the holidays, but also my personality and outlook on life in general? No, it's not jolly old Saint Nick. It's not Frosty the Snowman either. Ebenezer Scrooge? Getting warmer. No, it's grumpy old Saint, yeah, it's the Grinch. Yeah, I know that may come as a shock to some, what with my usually sunny disposition, but if you've ever met me in real life, you'd probably agree that the mean green hating machine might as well be my fucking spirit animal. Yeah, I've never really been one for the whole festive spirit thing. You know what Christmas is to me? Give me my present and fuck off. And, happy holidays. But even though you could say me and the mean one are kindred spirits in a way, I've never been much of a fan of his adventures in any medium really. I've never read the original story, as far as I remember at least. Never watched the Chuck Jones cartoon. Yeah, I know it's a classic, but that was well before my time. Didn't see the newish Benedict Cumberbatch one. That was a bit after my time. So that really just leaves the 2000 Jim Carrey one. Right slap bang in the middle of my childhood, pretty much. But despite that, yeah, not a fan. Even back then. Yeah, pretty much every kid I knew loved this film back in the day. But not me. I never understood what people saw in it. I don't know, I guess I must just be a Grinch, even towards the Grinch himself. Oh, and I didn't like the way the Who looked either. Yeah, they were just weird. But yeah, popular family film what came out in 2000, you can bet your big green arse there was also a game. Not that I ever played it, no idea if it was any good. Well, I guess now's as good a time as any to find out. Almost a quarter of a century later. Jesus fucking Christ. So yeah, let's grab some candy canes and eggnog and dive right in. So The Grinch, based on the Jim Carrey film and not the Chuck Jones cartoon, nor the original book, was developed by our old friend and dirty old man of the gaming industry, Artificial Mind and Movement, or A2M. Better known to the world as Behaviour Interactive. Yep, we started the year with a bit of A2M and now we're closing it out with some A2M as well. And published by, Konami, in the year 2000. It was on PS1, Dreamcast and PC, and there was also a version on Game Boy Color. So we get started and find our lord and hero and his faithful companion staring down at the town of Whoville, trying to figure out just how he'll ruin all their festive cheer, before checking out his pile of gadget plans to decide which dastardly contraption to build to aid in his goal. But then his clumsy arse knocks over the pile and then, oh shit, the plans are all blown away. And well, I guess we've got to go and get them back now. Well, it's as good a story as any, I suppose. But first, like with all these games, we get ourselves a quick tutorial to show us what we can do, and it's pretty much the standard range of abilities, though tailored to the specific character. You can run around and jump, double tap the jump button to drop your fat arse on things to break them. You can use your bad breath to fend off enemies, sneak, push things out of the way and swing on poles. And we can also control Max the dog, who can go through openings what are too small for you, and then he can flip switches and shit. Although it's not like in Bugs and Taz, he's not like a whole other playable character with his own abilities or anything. He's pretty much just another ability in and of himself. And with that done with, we can finally head out into the world and begin terrorizing the residents of Whoville. So basically, the game's structured like all the others we've looked at from Behaviour Interactive. You've got Mount Crumpet, which acts as your main base and hub area from which you access individual levels, of which there's several, each a different area of Who Land or Who World or whatever the fuck it is. Like you've got Downtown Whoville, Who Lake, Who Forest and the Who City Dump. and within those you've got a bunch of different objectives to complete before you can move on to the next. And also, like with most of these games, each mission can only be fully completed with stuff you don't get until later on, so you will find yourself going backwards and forwards between levels if you're going for 100%. Alright, so we're in downtown Whoville, where like I said, we've got a bunch of objectives to complete, while avoiding all the hazards and wankers what'll harass you if you get near. Like you've got these stupid little crotch monkeys what'll run up and hug you, and then you've got to quickly press the directional buttons to shake the fuckers off. Cause yeah, if I see some big green walking shag carpet wandering around my local high street, I'm just gonna run up and wrap my arms around that thing like it's Father fucking Christmas. What, do they not teach stranger danger in Wholand or something? Then there's arseholes who'll throw snowballs at you, just completely unprovoked, insect things what'll sting you, cops who'll make you freeze, literally, again without any provocation whatsoever. I mean, you're not even doing anything wrong, just walking down the fucking street, minding your own business. Talk about police brutality, and that brings us onto the health, if you can call it that. See, notice that you have this meter in the corner, which is actually empty when you first start, but as you encounter more and more annoying shit, it'll gradually fill. And if it fills all the way, the Grinch is literally just like, fuck this shit, I'm going home. Which, yeah, that's pretty much like how it is for me in real life. Yeah, there's only so much I can take whenever I venture into the outside before I'm like,
that's all I can stand. I can't stand no more.
I might as well have a meter of my own whenever I step outside my front door. Fuck me, this really is just like my life, the game. But yeah, if the meter fills, it'll just put you back to the start of whatever area you're at, and you've got to make your way back through. But if you avoid all the enemies, I guess, for long enough, it'll go back down again. And you can also find hearts of stone what'll make the meter longer so you can put up with more bullshit. Can I get a prescription for those in real life? Cause these antidepressants just really aren't doing it for me. So anyway, you're just going around doing dastardly shit like squashing all the presents, which actually carries over to the other missions, defacing all the mayor's posters, firing rotten eggs through all the windows, etc. And then you've got some more complex tasks like fucking with the town's Christmas clock and the mail, where you've got to go all Sam Fisher and sneak into places undetected, and if you get caught, the bastards will kick you back out. And since the gameplay is pretty non-linear, you can do all these in pretty much any order you want, although to do some you will need specific gadgets. But how do we get the gadgets? I mean, we saw all the plans get blown away at the start. So yeah, in order to get the gadgets, you first have to find the plans which have been scattered all throughout the world. You'll come across these regularly on your travels, they're not that hard to find. And once you've got all the pieces for a certain gadget, you then return to Mount Crumpet and use the computer, which brings you to a quick mini game where you've got to arrange them all correctly, bit like a jigsaw. And if I remember my civil engineering days, the title block should go on the bottom right. Yeah, this can be a bit tricky at first. The best way to do it is to find the borders and figure it out from there. And once you put it all together, you get the gadget. And there's a good range of gadgets that help expand your abilities and the gameplay in general. You've got things like the binoculars, pretty self-explanatory. The rotten egg launcher, what lets you shoot back at all the fuckers throwing snowballs and shit at you. The slime shooter, what lets you encase the bastards in slime.
He slimed me.
That's great!
The rocket spring, what lets you jump higher to reach higher up areas. The octopus climbing device, what lets you climb up walls. The marine mobile, what lets you go underwater. And the Grinch copter, what lets you fly. So yeah, like I said, decent range of gadgets that helps keep the gameplay interesting. Then after Whoville, we move on to Who Forest, where we have a new set of objectives to complete. And I appreciate the fact that for the most part we've got all new tasks to do. They're not just recycled from the previous level. Like now we've got to do things like destroy all the Christmas trees and drop hornets' nests down chimneys and sabotage the mayor's skis. All good-natured festive fun. So like with all the similar games we've looked at, the controls here are pretty decent. Both the Grinch and Max control well enough, and the movement's got a good amount of weight to it, without feeling like you're driving a tank through fucking quicksand, Batman and Robin! Although it does have that weird and slightly annoying problem we've seen in other A2M games from the time. You know, where if you're playing on DualShock and using the sticks, if you push the stick diagonally, you'll slow down to a walk just for some reason, which is irritating at times when you're moving in an arc and you'll randomly just stop running for like half a second. Just why? And yeah, I know it's not a huge issue, but it's just strange, and like I said, a little bit annoying. So yeah, if you're gonna give this one a go, I recommend just sticking with the D-pad. But even though the controls on the whole are pretty decent, I do still have a couple complaints. Firstly, when using things like the rotten egg launcher and the slime shooter, you use the first person camera to aim. And like in Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, it's a bit annoying to use because it's just way too sensitive. So it's hard to actually aim at the target you're trying to hit. Especially since you pretty much have to have it dead on in the center of the reticle in order to hit. So a lot of the time I found myself having to come out of first person and move to a different position to try and get a better shot. But it's even worse when you're trying to hit something that can actually hit back, like these annoying little fuckers, because then you've got to be quick to aim and hit them before they hit you, at which point you'll be forced out of first person and have to aim again. Fuck's sake, man, I hate this shit. These little arseholes won't leave you the fuck alone, constantly fucking taunting you. I'm starting to understand why the Grinch hates the Who so much. I'd hate the bastards too if they did this to me every time I went outside. Hell, if I were the Grinch, I wouldn't just want to ruin Christmas for the fuckers. I want to get an AK and go fucking postal on their merry little arses. You ever play that game, Hatred, where you go around massacring random people just cause you, hate them? Well, that's how this game would have gone if I was the main character. Would have been Qui-Gon and Mos Eisley all over again. But probably the most annoying thing is when you're swinging on the poles. See, there's bits where you'll be jumping from pole to pole, some of which are above or behind you, and you have to flip yourself around to get to the ones behind, which to do so you've got to hit triangle while you're swinging, which, once again, I care not to disclose how long it took me to figure that out. I mean, why do you need to be swinging? Why can't you just turn around? And then to get the next pole, whether it's the same level or above, you've got to press jump while swinging, but you've got to press it at the exact right time in order for it to work. Like, if you're moving along to the next one, you've got to hit jump right at the beginning of the swing, otherwise you just won't do it. And when trying to swing up, you've got to hit the button just as you begin to swing upwards, because if you hit too late, you'll do nothing, and if you're too early, you'll jump forward and miss and have to do the whole thing again. And it's just really fucking hard to hit the button right when you're meant to. I mean, like I said, it's got to be the exact right moment, otherwise it won't fucking work. Yeah, it took me ages to get used to this shit, and even then it was still hard to get it to work right. But anyway, after Who Forest, it's then onto the dump, and this was where the game started to get quite a bit harder, and annoying. Like, you've got this bit where you've got to cross a minefield by using the rocket spring to jump from platform to platform, and if you miss, you get kicked back to the start and have to do it again. And this turned out to be a lot easier said than done, since even though the controls are decent, for the time at least, they're still not perfect. So when you're trying to get yourself in the best position to jump from one place to the next, it's not hard to move a bit too far by accident and walk right over the edge and get blasted all the way to fucking Timbuktu. Yeah, on the whole I'd say, out of all these games I've looked at, Bugs Bunny Lost in Time, Bugs and Taz, Monsters Inc. and this definitely has to be the hardest. In all those games, there weren't many bits that gave me much trouble, at least in terms of figuring out what to do. But here, there are actually quite a few bits where it's not immediately clear what you're supposed to do and you have to stop and think about it. Like the bit where you've got to slime the mare's skis in Who Forest, where you first got to take out the guard dog what'll jump on you if it catches you. And again, it took longer than I care to admit to figure out exactly how to do it. I kept trying to slime the fucker, but it wouldn't work because the game just says so. And instead you've actually got to wait for it to sit down under the bits where there's snow hanging, and then shoot the snow to make it fall and bury the stupid mutt so then you can get to the skis. Yeah, sometimes you'll be given hints on how to do something, but a lot of the time you're just left to figure stuff out on your own, and you've kind of just got to experiment and try different things. Like also in Who Forest, you've got to destroy the Christmas trees, which to do you've actually got to use your bad breath on them, but the game never tells you that or even hints at it, at least not that I can remember. So you kind of just have to be like, maybe if I use the bad breath on it something will happen. So yeah, unlike say Monsters Inc., this probably won't be one for really young kids. I know I would have had a lot of trouble with it back in the day, or I don't know, maybe I'm just too used to modern games where the main character will literally just spell out everything you're meant to do. Man, game developers must really think we're stupid. What am I saying? Of course they do. Then after the dump, it's on to Who Lake, where it's just more of the same. So you know what that means? It's time to look at the presentation side! And like all the other A2M games we've looked at, artificial mind and movement games that is, the other A2M, well, I'm sure you'll be able to find a site out there somewhere that'll cater to that kind of thing. But anyway, as with the likes of Bugs and Taz and Monsters Inc., the graphics are decent enough for the time, even if the art style doesn't really emulate the look of the film all that much in my opinion. Not that I really give a shit, cause like I said, not a fan. But despite that, I still think it looks pretty good. It's bright and colourful, the environments are pretty well detailed, and the characters resemble their counterparts from the film, so that's good enough for me. But one thing I couldn't help but notice is how bad the frame rate got at times. Yeah, it's not uncommon to come across frame rate dips in these old games. It's happened a few times, but this has to be the worst I've ever seen. And it wasn't just a slight dip here and there, it happened pretty regularly, and it was really noticeable, even at times when there wasn't even much going on screen. And in some bits, it got so bad that the game was practically unplayable. So yeah, that did drag it down quite a bit for me. Although of course, I feel I should mention, as I have multiple times, that I am playing on an emulator, which has caused glitches in the past that weren't actually part of the original release, so who knows, maybe this is just another one of them. So yeah, if any of my friends on here played this one back in the day, why don't you let me know if you remember the frame rate being this bad on the actual console. The voice acting's pretty decent. I mean, they did do a Nightfire and gave us a guy who sounds absolutely nothing like Jim Carrey to play our hero, although that's not really a criticism since again, I'm not really that bothered because I didn't even like Jim Carrey's Grinch voice all that much, and the guy that got does a decent enough job.
Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree, you really don't look healthy. Oh, you're Grinch.
The only other prominent voice is that of the narrator, and while of course it's not the great Anthony Hopkins narrating our dastardly deeds, yes, something tells me his fee was a little out of their price range, but again, the guy that got's fine enough. I really like the soundtrack. Like the rest of these games, it's quirky and upbeat and does a good job of complementing the atmosphere and gameplay. And there's also one other thing I wanted to bring up, and that is, I'm actually quite impressed with the fact that even though these games are all pretty similar, the developers do a good job of tailoring each one to the particular characters and IPs they're about. Like here, it's really just a standard platformer, collectathon or whatever, but they managed to set it apart from similar games by taking the time to add features and gameplay elements that fit the source material and make sense in the game world, like the Grinch's bullshit meter for your health, the various gadgets you can build, and the pranks you play on the Who. It's the same as in Monsters Inc. with the scare minigame and the Soylent Green and stuff. I just think it's cool that rather than just make a bog standard platformer, which they easily could have, they actually took the time to make the game feel at least somewhat unique while staying true to the source material. But anyway, after you've caused enough trouble at Who Lake, that concludes the main bulk of the game, even if you haven't completed all of the tasks in each mission. But despite our best efforts, the Who are still happy as they prepare for the holidays to begin, the little bastards. Well, it seems there's only one thing we can do. We're gonna have to steal Christmas. But before we can do that, we've got a couple other things to do first, cause this game's the gift that just keeps on giving. See, in order to actually steal Christmas, we need to use our fly and rocket slayer thing, but too bad the thing's not ready yet cause there's still some parts missing. And how do we get the parts? Well, we just have to go back round all the areas we've previously been to where a new task has been unlocked. Like in Whoville, you've got to wreck this snowplow thing, and at the dump you've got to arrange these chest pieces correctly to open a garage door or whatever. And after you've done all that, you get all the parts. Then you just stick them in the sleigh and it's finally time to put an end to all this festive cheer and peace on earth bullshit once and for all. Yeah! And first of all, we've got to intercept all the presents what that arsehole Santa throws out before the Who get their grubby little hands on them. And this is simple enough. You've just got to fly into the presents as he drops them, and once you've got them all, it's time to take out the fat fuck himself. Yeah, how'd you like that, you jolly old son of a bitch? This is for all those sacks of coal you brought me as a kid, you piece of shit. All the glasses of milk and mince pies I left out for you, and I still never got the mighty morphing dino megazord? Well, choke on him, motherfucker! So yeah, now I've just got to shoot down Santa before the time runs out. And this was pretty annoying because you don't have any kind of reticle or crosshair or anything to help you aim. And instead you've got to rely on this stupid bullseye radar thing in the corner here that never seemed to work. I mean, no matter what I did, I could never get the red dot in the center, so I just ended up firing as fast as I could and hoping it would hit the fucker. And after you hit him enough times, he crashes into the snow and, I don't know, I guess you just leave him to slowly freeze to death. And then... Finally, Christmas is ruined! Yeah, how'd you like that, you little bastards? Throw snowballs at me, will ya? Well, who's laughing now, bitch? Not you, coming downstairs to find no toys under the tree? There isn't even a tree! But wait, what the fuck? What is this? It didn't work! Why are they still happy? What does it take to make you little fuckers as miserable as me? Well, I guess we're gonna have to go to plan B then. Get the napalm. But yeah, you all know the story. Stealing the presents doesn't work cause, I don't know, I guess, oh, they have each other and that's the true meaning of Christmas or some sappy bullshit like that. Then our hero realises the error of his ways and turns into a massive pussy. He gives back the presents and makes nice and they all live happily ever after. Or maybe not, based on the soundtrack at the end here. Like, what, is it gonna turn out he's got a suicide vest on under there or something? So that was The Grinch on PS1, and in conclusion, like the other A2M games we've looked at, yeah, it's decent enough. It plays well, it's pretty fun, and I liked how they managed to make a lot of the gameplay fit around the character of the Grinch and his personality. They made what at its heart is pretty much just a standard platformer based on a popular film a bit more unique and interesting than you'd expect it to be. I will say that this was definitely the hardest and most annoying out of these games, since there are just so many times where it doesn't help you at all and you're left to just figure things out on your own. And there's some daft shit like the pole swinging, so I probably wouldn't recommend this one for really young kids. But if you like The Grinch, whether it's the original story, the Chuck Jones cartoon, or the Jim Carrey one or whatever, or if you're just looking for a fun little retro platformer, then yeah, I say give this one a go. And that's that. And that wraps up 2024, my first full year on YouTube. Fuck me, it's flown over. Feels like only yesterday I was doing my tier list for last year. But yeah, there's been some ups and downs, but overall it's been a good year. I've had fun making and sharing these videos, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you who've been with me on my journey so far. And I hope you'll continue to stick with me into the future, whatever that may bring. But anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, then leave a like. If you didn't, then tell me to go fuck myself. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and as I said at the start, well, looks like we're not gonna make it. So yeah, that's kinda disappointing. But hey ho, it's not the end of the world. But if we can get as close as we can before time runs out, that'd be nice. So yeah, if you enjoy my content and have yet to subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it if you would do so. And as always, thank you so much to everyone who already has. Thanks again for watching, happy holidays to you all, I hope you're all having a great time and get lots of lovely prezzies, and I'll see you all in 2025.